Today I am looking at platformer design by comparing one classic NES game, Super Mario Bros., with one modern platformer, Celeste. My goal is to show how platforms create challenge through movement, level design, and camera choice, and then use those lessons to propose a small, original concept. I chose these two games because they represent two important moments in the genre. One helped define platforming fundamentals, and the other shows how modern games make difficult movement feel fair and accessible. Before comparing games, I just want to define a few key ideas. First is the jump design. A committed jump locks the players into a choice, while a variable jump lets them control height by holding or releasing the button. Next are jump buffer and coyote time. Jump buffer means the game remembers a jump input pressed slightly before landing. Coyote time means the player can still jump for a tiny moment after leaving a ledge. Good platformers also depend on movement physics like acceleration, inertia, friction, and air control. Finally, level layout and camera placement matter because they affect how early players can read upcoming threats. Super Mario Bros. Is a great example of foundational platformer design. Mario already has more depth than he might seem to at first. His jump height changes based on how long the button is held, and his movement is strongly affected by running speed. That means jumps are not just tested about timing, they are also about momentum. This game also teaches through design instead of text. World 1-to-1 introduces enemies, blocks, pipes, and pits in the same readable order, so players learn by moving forward. At the same time, mistakes are costly. There is very little forgiveness if a jump is mistimed. The camera in Super Mario Bros. Is a major part of the challenge. It scrolls to the right and limits how much of the future the player can see. So platforming becomes a test of anticipation and commitment. The level structure is also very deliberate. Early obstacles Early obstacles appear one at a time, and later sections combine them to create pressure. The game increases difficulty without changing its basic rules. However, because the game uses lives and larger restarts, failures can slow learning. So the experience is exciting and influential, but also more punishing than many modern platformers. Celeste keeps the precision of traditional platformers, but it adds modern quality of life systems that make the controls feel more trustworthy. Madeline has a variable jump, strong air control, a dash, wall jumps, and climbing, but these mechanics stay readable because each has a clearer purpose. More importantly, the game includes coyote time and jump buffering, which smooth out near misses. This means players still need skill, but the game is less likely to reject an input that felt correct. Celeste is difficult, but it turns failures into fast learning because the respawn time is almost immediate. Celeste also structures levels differently from Super Mario Bros. Instead of long scrolling stages, it often uses short rooms that focus on one mechanic at a time. A room might teach dash timing, then the next room combines that dash with spikes or moving hazards. The mostly locked room camera makes every obstacle easy to read before the player acts. Accessibility is another major difference. Optional strawberries give experienced players extra challenges, while assist mode gives other players tools like slower game speed or extra stamina. The important point is that the game stays demanding, but it gives players more ways to engage with it. When these games are compared differently, the contrast is clear. Super Mario Bros. Builds challenge from momentum, commitment, and limited recovery. Celeste builds challenge from precision, but it also provides better support systems. Both games are carefully designed and both teach primarily through level layout instead of long tutorials. The biggest difference is how they treat mistakes. In Mario, a small mistake often becomes a major punishment. In Celeste, a small mistake usually becomes a quick reset and another attempt. That change says a lot about platformers' design and how it has actually evolved. The larger lesson is that difficulty is not just about making jumps harder. Older platforms often use limited visibility, scarce lives, and repetition to create tension. Newer platformers often keep hard inputs and dense obstacle patterns, but they remove downtime between attempts. That usually feels fair because the game is testing players' understanding and execution instead of patience. Accessibility is part of that same idea. Good accessibility does not have to remove challenge. It can simply add more players the ability to understand the rules, practice them, and enjoy the experience. My concept is called Skyline Courier. It is a 2D rooftop platformer set in a stormy coastal city. The main mechanic is called draft jump. When the player builds speed and jumps through marked wind vents, some of the horizontal momentum is converted into extra height. This rewards flow and route planning without making the moveset overly complex. I would keep some Mario-style inertia on the ground, so sprinting matters, but I also would add Celeste-style jump buffering, coyote time, instant response, and assist options. The camera would look slightly ahead during fast movements and lock into place during more precise challenge rooms. To conclude, Super Mario Bros. Shows how simple mechanics, momentum, and level teaching establish the platformer genre. Celeste shows how the same genre can be more precise, readable, and accessible without becoming less challenging. My proposal combines the lessons by using momentum as a source of expression while still protecting the player from unnecessary frustration. So the main takeaway from the comparison is that great platformers are not only hard jumps, they are about trust between the player and the game, with clear rules, readable spaces, and control that feels fair.